Hello and welcome to The Gaggle, where we challenge and, if necessary, destroy media narratives. I'm George Szamuely. With me today is Peter Lavelle, co-founder of The Gaggle and host also of RT's talk show Crosstalk. Well, it is that time of the week when we determine the fate of the miscreants and the do-gooders of the week. It means it's thumbs up and thumbs down. I'll go first. My thumbs up and my thumbs down kind of go together. So my thumbs up is Justice Clarence Thomas, who wrote a dissent to a decision, which is my thumbs down, of the Supreme Court. The case involved Pennsylvania, and this goes back to the litigation that preceded the election, in which the Pennsylvania Republican Party objected to the fact that the Pennsylvania Supreme Court had usurped the powers of the state legislature to change election rules before the election. Clearly, the federal constitution is very explicit. Election rules are set by state legislatures. When this case was first before the Supreme Court, that was back in the fall, the Supreme Court punted. There's a 4-4 decision, so it was thrown back and to the court. Now it's back, and again, the Supreme Court punted. They refused to take a case. They said it is moot. And as Clarence Thomas wrote in his withering dissent, and it's very well worth reading, well worth everyone's part to read this very, very good dissent. He said, this is not moot because the issue of who sets the election rules, the state legislature or state officials or state courts, is going to be up in the next election, in the midterms, is going to be up in the presidential election. So it doesn't matter what happened in Pennsylvania on November the 3rd. That's already, yes, that part is gone. But the Supreme Court has to make a determination as to, going forward, so that people know who actually sets the rules for the conduct of election. And for the Supreme Court, once again, to fail to address this issue, when this is a matter that is actually explicitly in the Constitution. I mean, the Supreme Court wades into issues that are not in the Constitution. Abortion, gay marriage, none of that is in the Constitution. But this is explicitly in the Constitution. If ever there was an issue on which the Supreme Court has to wade in, then it is this one. I think Thomas makes this clear. Alito concurs in the judgment. He also makes this clear. So thumbs up for Thomas, thumbs down for the Supreme Court.
Yeah, we're going to have to confront it sooner or later. This cannot be avoided because it's moot because the electors voted for Biden and Biden was inaugurated. You and I do not contest that, okay? But I think there's reasonable questions about how we got to that conclusion, and it has divided the country. It continues to divide the country, and addressing it at that level of the court would be a very wise thing to do at this point, because it's only going to fester and it sets a very bad precedent. So if you want to play fast and loose with state laws in dealing with elections, it's going to come back and haunt you. Because it will completely delegitimize the process. So I think Clarence Thomas did a great job in pointing that out, and he's showing a great deal of foresight, yes, because this issue is not going to go away at all.
Right. Absolutely.
I have a thumbs up for the GOP establishment. Now, wait, give me a second here, okay? Mitt Romney and McConnell. Mitch McConnell, basically eating crow in public, looking at the numbers, looking at the base, they realize that they can't go it alone as much as they would like to. And I understand their reasons too, okay? And that they're perfectly legitimate reasons as well. But politics is not reasonable, okay? It's a different realm. And so they've just read the tea leaves, seen the writing on the wall, and as long as Donald Trump walks and talks and ticks and talks and everything else, he's a reality you can't avoid.
Right.
So Seeing these two morons have to, eat crow in public, it was very, very satisfying for me.
Right.
But, thumbs up for them doing it, thumbs down for the GOP overall. Okay, they have a lot of work to do. They got a lot of work to do.
Right, right. But it is extraordinary that you would think that somebody like Mitch McConnell, and to a certain extent Mitt Romney, they've been in politics all their lives. And you would have thought that the one thing that politics should teach you is to count votes. You know where the votes are and you know where the votes aren't. And if you can't, if you make a misjudgment of the magnitude that Mitch McConnell made, which is you first of all assure the Democrats that you can deliver a conviction of Trump, then you kind of switch your vote and say, I'm against convicting Trump, even though I agree with the impeachment case against him. And then you after that, you turn and you make this vitriolic, extraordinary outburst against Trump. And now you've reversed yourself and said, oh, well, if Trump runs, this person that you wanted to convict, if Trump runs, I will support him. I mean, it is just nuts. And to say, he counted the votes. Well, why didn't he count the votes before?
The thing is that he's trying to separate the political from the procedural from the merits. Okay, and I get that. I really get that. And he's too clever. He outwitted himself, because no matter what you stress, the vitriol and your vote, you can't reconcile them, even though there are different levels of analysis for his conviction. But don't get ahead of your skis and don't outwit yourself, because you look like a damn fool.
Right. He really does look like a fool. I guess it's the price he had to pay in order to continue to lead the Republican caucus. I mean, I think his leadership was under challenge. So yeah, he had to eat crow to hold on to his job. But again, I mean, if you can't count votes, then what use are you? I mean, what is the point of Mitch McConnell? Just glad-handing lobbyists and going to rubber chicken lunches with all your donors? I mean, that's it. I guess that's his idea of what politics is about. It's not in any way catering to the needs of the people. I mean, it's how to pocket money for yourself.
I got news for you, Mitch. There's nothing you can say, and there's nothing you can do. Okay, I think I don't know who said. I'm trying to. It was who was it? It wasn't Bob Dylan. Stick a fork in his back and turn him over. He's done. Okay, you're done, Mitch. You're done. Okay, you're just like your impeachment charade. You can go on the merits, you can go on the procedure, and you go on the politics. You know what? You lost on 3 levels. Yep. All at the same time. Amazing for someone of his stature and his history.
Yeah, exactly. His stature. I mean, he's the leader of the party, and he's been there forever. I mean, it's like it's hard to remember a time when Mitch McConnell wasn't in some senior position.
One word: staggering. Okay, let me go to mine here. I'm going to be doing a program on crosstalk on this, so this is kind of a preview for those watching Gaggle. Is weaponized empathy. Okay, so what we've gotten with this Biden administration is, with these ridiculous people that he's appointed to positions that they have no business holding in the first place in his cabinet. All they're trying to do is weaponize empathy. Well, she's Asian, he's Black. First woman, etc. Who cares? Who cares about that? And you know what? And people say, well, what about diversity? What about diversity? Whatever, okay? I am for unity. But there is no diversity in thought there. These are all professional, managerial, accredited people in their circle. It doesn't matter your background, okay? Right. They all have malign ideas, okay? I don't care if it comes from a brown person. It's still a bad idea. Yep, and so this weaponized empathy is just rubbish. And it's silly, okay? All of the, we have this Lloyd, the Secretary of Defense. Austin Lloyd. Well, I mean, he's a millionaire.
I think it's
Lloyd Austin, excuse me. He was from Raytheon.
Yeah.
I mean, rich, he was $100 million a year or something like that. I mean, It's because he is accredited in their circles,
Right.
is why he gets the job.
Right, right.
Don't fool yourself.
That's exactly right. So it's the notion that when you're bombing Syria, those unfortunate Syrians are happy. Well, thank God the defense secretary is black. At least we it's no longer a white person who's bombing us; it's a black person who's bombing us. Or the Secretary of State. He's Jewish. Well, that's good. So there's a diversity there. I mean, it's nuts. It's like Madeleine Albright. Well, great. The Serbs can rest easy that they were being bombed because Madeleine, by the first woman Secretary of State. Well, what? Isn't that wonderful? I mean, it is absolute nonsense. I mean, you have people who are really, the worst, embody the worst of the swamp. And we're asked to say, "Oh, this is great." No, they're not. They're not really the swamp because this one is gay, this one is transgender, this one is black, this one is Hispanic. So that's great. Doesn't matter what they're doing, doesn't matter what the policies are. They kind of fill the, all check off all the boxes.
Yeah, but what they all are is all corporatist, neo-corporatist, corporatist, globalist. I mean, whatever label you want to put on. But none of them, to the person, is disadvantaged. Right. Believe me, okay? And they're not speaking out for people that are.
Right.
And these are the Democrats. Remember, okay?
Yeah, that's right. So my thumbs up is the NATO, this NATO Supreme Allied Commander. These people come and go. I mean, they're all fairly nondescript. But he gave a kind of a video presentation the other day in which he again ranted and raved about Russia and about what a huge existential threat Russia poses to the United States and just about everybody else. Now, as always with these NATO presentations, no evidence is ever presented as to how is Russia posing a threat to anyone? Existential. They're about to invade somebody, or what? But it doesn't really matter because it just keeps everyone in NATO occupied and reassures electors that their money is well spent in keeping this alliance going, even though they're kind of manufacturing enemies as they do so. So this presentation was an absolute embarrassment.
Well, you know what NATO's kind of turning into? It's turning into a never-ending Netflix series. Okay, so we got a preview of this season's. Okay, and so and doing it with this these visual aids is so much more helpful. So we can look forward to the energy threat. We can look forward to the terrorist threat. We can look forward to the electoral interference threat. Each one is an episode here, and you have to watch them all because they're all interconnected. You just can't jump in, okay? Because this is a well thought out strategy here.
That's right, exactly. So yeah, there's the global warming threat, the threat to women, and of course, the next on the agenda, NATO's a little slow, the threat to transgender. I mean, because there's apparently Putin is out to get the transgendered people of the world. That's his new target.
During the Sochi Games, RT obviously covered it very closely, and we had one of our correspondents, Martin Andrews, is an openly gay man from the UK, and so he went down there and he was one of our correspondents. And there is a gay bar in Sochi called Mayak, which means lighthouse. Mm-hmm. And so he went there, and all the other Western journalists went there, and I asked him, I said, so what's the issue about, gays being discriminated against? And he said, they're being harassed. And I said, what? He said, yes, they go to this gay bar and they harass all of the patrons asking about, are you being harassed by the government in a gay bar? Okay. Don't worry, NATO has the footage. We will see it again. Okay, they'll change the date. Don't worry.
That's exactly. That's it. So yeah, there's always a new role. Whatever's the flavor of the month. Now it's build back better. So build back better. Oh, NATO's on the job. We're going to build back better.
Can you? I can imagine. They're going to come up with a new gesture for the NATO alliance. An alliance that cares.
That's it. Exactly.
All righty, what else we got here? Paul Ryan, thumbs up.
Really?
Okay. What's the woman's? It's one of the social services departments, and this openly celebrated by the left transgender person.
Rachel Levine.
Right. Okay. Rachel Levine, and he pressed her very hard.
About, you don't mean Paul Ryan, you mean Rand Paul.
Rand Paul. I wrote it down.
That's right.
I wrote it right. My dyslexia has kicked in twice today. Okay.
I
wrote it down right.
Ryan, what good has he done? I mean.
Right. Okay. So the senator from Kentucky did a wonderful job in public. He got a lot of arrows slung at him, but he was just basically saying, do children have a right? I mean, we're talking about young children, preteen in some cases, to have a right to make life altering decisions about their orientation, their sexuality, and all that. And he wouldn't get an answer from Ms. Rachel Levine. Okay, wouldn't.
Right.
And he even said, let the record show that the witness would not answer the question.
Right.
Bravo.
Right. And what is shocking about that because he didn't give an answer to a very straightforward question, which is, as you said, should minors be allowed to make, life-altering decisions? When we don't allow minors to decide whether they're going to do homework or not, we don't allow minors to decide what's for dinner or not, but we're going to allow them to make a decision about something that will change their lives and something that will not be able to alter. And Rachel Levine was unable to answer the question, so you'd have to then assume that she thinks yes. The answer is yes, because if she thought the answer was no, she wouldn't have hesitated to say that. So she just punted and started meandering because she didn't really want to answer the question. And so that really is quite shocking that this person seems to think that it's fine that a minor makes such a decision.
This is so telling about what the modern Democratic Party is all about, is that they know these ideas do not have majoritarian support. Okay, I think if they had their way, they would just dispense with the democratic process because it just gets in the way of their agenda. All right, and we have this system for a reason, and it should never be easy. I think it should be rough and tumble and long, very thorough, and in good faith discussions. She's a person of not good faith. The way her answer tells you that. Right. And their agenda tells you that.
That's right. No, I agree. And that kind of leads on into my thumbs down, which is the confirmation process. You kind of wonder, what exactly is the point of these confirmations? I mean, you mentioned Rachel Levine. Her answer should have brought her nomination to an end. You say she obviously is unsuitable to hold an important federal government position. I mean, if these are your views, if you're unable to say that I don't think minors should make life-altering decisions, fine. If you're an adult, make a decision like that's okay. But that minors should make those kinds of decisions, and she's unable to answer a question, that's it. She's disqualified. Over. We go to the next candidate. But the same thing happened with Merrick Garland, who is the nominee for Attorney General, the one who didn't get that Supreme Court gig that he wanted. He was asked, do you think that it is illegal to cross the border without authorization? And he couldn't answer the question. Well, he said, I never really thought about that. You never thought about it. You're the Department of Justice. This is right in your bailiwick. Who enforces the law at the U.S. border? The Department of Justice. It's the federal government that enforces the law. You haven't thought about it. That's it. You say, okay, well, you are not the person to be Attorney General. Goodbye. Next candidate, please. But apparently he's going to, he's going to waltz through. I mean, already plenty of Republicans have said they're going to support him. I mean, so why bother having confirmation? Why not just simply, shove them into the job right away?
But what this tells us is that, particularly for this position of Attorney General, the law is not important. The political ideology and agenda is. Okay, right. I mean, of all people, to be able to, he should have been honest. He said, of course, under current law it is, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's always going to be the law. That's an acceptable answer. Okay, that's an acceptable answer, but I don't know. This guy could have sat on the Supreme Court.
Right.
It was a really, so many of these appointees are they embarrass themselves so much, and they get so much cover,
Right.
protective cover from their own party and from the media.
Right, right. Now, the job you're going for, big job, Chief Law Enforcement Officer of the United States. And one of your most important tasks is enforcing immigration law. If you don't intend to enforce immigration law, then you should just say it. I don't intend to enforce it. Yeah, I know the laws are on the books. I don't intend to enforce it. Then, at least you'd have been upfront about it. But to say, I never really thought about it, I mean, it's just, that's it. You're disqualified. You have no business being being chief law enforcement officer.
Do you believe in freedom of speech and the First Amendment? Haven't really thought about it.
Haven't really thought about it, exactly. Not in the way you put it, Senator. I mean.
All right, what else we got here? Let's see. Okay, well, of course, I don't know how how it fits into our rubric here, but I mean, it's very, very sad that Joe Biden decided so early on his administration to go back to the old failed ways of attacking countries that are no threat to the United States or its allies. And of course, it's the attack on Syria. I think that, you and I are realist enough anyone that can watch our videos, we fully expected this. But the media's response to it all, they are applauding him when in early 2017 they condemned Trump for doing the same exact thing. Jen Psaki's own tweets were being thrown back at her. But there's no coverage of it. I mean, of course, Fox will cover it in some really good podcasts out there, but it just isn't commented on. And for me, it just tells you what we should expect here. This administration is going to get complete cover. I mean, I think if you want, again, this is such a delicate subject because I don't like to pound away at it, but I mean, it looks like, Joe is declining, and he's declining fast. Right. Okay, so who's running the show?
Yeah, no, I think so. We were expecting this. We talked about this before the election. We talked about in the interregnum between the election and the inauguration. We were always expecting that he will restart the war in Syria. We also expected that he will be up to no good in Ukraine, and I think he will be up to no good in Ukraine. And I think that there is clearly some kind of a confrontation with Russia in the works. Just even from what we were just talking about a moment ago, from the comments of this NATO Supreme Allied Commander, he's getting a sense of what's coming. I mean, he wouldn't be talking like this if he didn't get a sense of something.
Black Sea.
Yeah.
Black Sea.
Yeah, exactly. Black Sea, Baltics, and so on. That's right. So yeah, this is what the Biden, and of course, we get almost no serious coverage of this. I mean, no one is really serious, but where is this going? I mean, what's the end game here? Instead of saying, oh well, this was moderate, this was proportionate, lovely proportion. Well, you killed 20 people. Well, that's proportionate. Yeah, proportionate to what? You haven't even identified, who exactly was behind it. You don't know who was behind it. You don't know that Iran was behind it. And what the hell has this got to do with Syria? But that's always proportionate. That's good. We therefore, thumbs up for Joe Biden.
But they're using this language like defensive escalation. What does that mean?
Right.
It doesn't mean anything.
Right. Right.
Okay. I don't know what's defensive about it, and what do you mean escalation? What is proportional? Yeah. I mean, these are just all weasel words.
They are weasel words, but they sound good. Defensive. Oh well, defensive. It's again like NATO. NATO's always defensive. It's done nothing but aggression since the end of the Warsaw Pact. Nothing but aggression. It keeps on. Well, we are defensive. We're in the business of maintaining peace. Nothing about you is defensive. So in the same way here, defensive, you're occupying Syria illegally, aggressively. You're occupying Iraq illegally, having committed an aggression 20 years ago. You're attacking Iran. Iran is a regional power. United States is not a regional power. And yet you're attacking Iran. Everything you do is aggression, and yet it's done in this weasel word. It's defensive.
The same thing with the presentation they were talking about Russian, alleged Russian aggression. Also, a good chunk is devoted to China, and we have to talk to our allies in Asia. What allies? NATO's not in Asia. I guess not yet.
Right. No, that's right.
I mean, when people tell you who they are, believe them.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. I mean, everything about the Biden team, we knew all this about the Biden team. There was no mystery about it. We knew about Blinken, we knew about Jake Sullivan, and what a shock! You know, these are the policies that they're pursuing. Yeah, I mean, that's it. So my thumbs on this kind of it continues from this, and that is the insipid response to the bombing of Syria on the part of the squad, the liberals, who either say nothing or they get into this whole thing about, well, there's no congressional authorization. You know, I want congressional authorization. This is one of those absolutely fraudulent issues of all time, congressional authorization. I mean, in the first place, even if you did get congressional authorization, does it make it okay? You know, that's it. You've got a permission slip from Congress. Oh, well, I'm good, you know. And then in any case, you know, be careful what you ask for, because most of Congress supports these military ventures. You know, you go there, they'll say, yeah, I'm for it. Bombing Iran, great. Bombing Syria, great. So the whole idea that the world kind of turns on this issue of congressional authorization, and you get wonderful op-eds in the New York Times. Yes, we definitely need congressional authorization. And then Ilhan Omar tweets out, well, I'm not happy about the lack of congressional authorization. Never does the United States seek congressional authorization. There hasn't been a declaration of war since World War II. Every single military venture has been, you know, just on the fly. But it's a wonderful liberal thing that they can feel good about themselves. Yes, I want congressional authorization.
Well, I mean, you could say that a good deal of American foreign policy, particularly since the end of the Cold War, has been really the mindset of a pyromaniac. Okay, so basically what the squad is saying is that what pyromaniac credentials do you actually have to do this? Okay, I mean, are you qualified to start this fire? Okay. Right. You're absolutely right. The absurdity of it all. You know, again, I really stress to our viewers here, when you look at people, when you look at the media discussing this, you look at the politicians and the media reaction, they never, ever once focus on international law, because it is patently against international law. Right. And that's what we keep stressing here. That's always your starting point. It's always your starting point, because theoretically, that it applies to everyone. And I'll tell you, weaker powers, smaller powers, that is the only resort they have is international law. What you're doing is wrong against international law, because there isn't so much imbalance of power. And when you're a much stronger power, particularly in the case of the United States and its Western allies, is that's the last thing they want to talk about is international law, because they know they're breaking the law.
They know they're breaking the law, and they know that there is no way that they're going to get the support of other countries. So whenever they try to bring up these things like, well, you know, for instance, you know, in Yugoslavia, well, it's a humanitarian crisis, and so therefore we're enforcing international law. Well, okay, go to the Security Council and make your case. It's very easy. Go to the World Court, make your case. Very easy. You don't do it because you know you're not going to get support there. In the same way with you know, Iraq. Now, in the case of Iraq, George W. Bush did try to get the Security Council. The Security Council said no. You had three of the permanent members were ready to veto any attempt to use force in Iraq. 3 of them. You know, that just shows how little support there is for all this. And remember, Bush was attempting to enforce international law. Oh, Saddam Hussein is not complying with his, with the orders that the international community had issued him with. So he's attempting to enforce international law, and the international community is telling, no, you aren't enforcing anything.
I can remember one of my guests on Crosstalk, and I said there was never a Security Council resolution giving a green light to the illegal invasion and occupation of Iraq. And you know what the guest said? He said, "Oh, there were so many resolutions." You see what they do? You see what they do?
Right. Right.
He said, well, what resolutions are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. So again, I mean, it was always very easy. You say Saddam Hussein is not complying with the orders that the UN had issued him with. Okay, then make your case. Very easy. Go make your case, and then let the rest of the world decide whether Saddam Hussein really isn't complying and what the world should do about it. But instead, the United States said, "Well, we will take this matter into our own hands." No, so it's like the cop, the bad cop who says, well, I don't really trust the courts. I don't really trust the rest of the people in the police departments. I'm just going to shoot the damn bastard myself.
Yeah, but see, what this, see, for me, this is kind of, it's a very, it's a mindset, is that these neocons, they don't want to have that strategy because they believe that they are a higher force. Right. You know, the Madeleine Albright, we stand taller, we see farther, that kind of mentality. And that's part of their DNA code, is that it's international law is for a small country. It's not for us because we are exceptional. We have an exceptional experience, exceptional understanding, and we exceptionally screw it up every single time.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly right.
But I mean, if they did have a reference to international law, we would avoid most of these things.
Right.
Because as I keep saying, particularly in the Middle East, leave the Middle East. You know what's going to happen? Within a day, they're going to have to say, holy shit, we got to sit down and talk to these people because we're going to blow all of us up to bits. Right. Okay, that's what will happen.
That's right. But I mean, international law is very, very specific on the matter. You can say you have a right to self-defense. And if it's you could go before the United Nations, so we have been attacked, and then you can invoke that, Article 51, say, and invite others to come into you to support you. Or you could go to the Security Council and get them to support you. The United States cannot get either. It's not been attacked. No one has attacked it. And it has no support in the Security Council. So, therefore, that's why the United States said, well, forget international law. Let's talk about the rules-based order, where we invent the rules as we go along. Well, we like this rule today. We're not going to like the rule tomorrow, but we're still with the rules-based order.
It's our rules, and you'll be in our order. Okay.
Right. Yes, that's right.
All right, that's all for me.
I've only got one other one. I mean, I guess a very minor thing is that, I mean, it's looking like Neera Tanden is going down, which is a kind of a thumbs up. The thumbs down is the aspect that there's this obsession about her tweets, as if somehow what's objectionable about Neera Tanden are those mean tweets and all those nasty things she said about. Well, I don't care about nasty. I mean, there's plenty of nasty people sending out nasty tweets. There's a lot more that is horrific about.
She's corrupt.
Yeah,
she's corrupt.
She is corrupt. She's the one who wanted to steal Libya's oil. She punched a journalist. She outed a sexual harassment complainant. This is a person who is utterly unsuitable for that position at ONU.
And she has way too many conflicts of interest. Right. Okay, I mean, she would be choosing winners and losers in her position, which she shouldn't be in that office. Okay, she has no background in doing that. Okay, what was the great OMB director under Reagan?
Well, it was what's his face, the one who worked for. Well, first of all, it was Dick Stockman. But then the one who came after him was the one who worked for Reagan. I've forgotten his name. Not for Reagan. He worked for Trump. He was his economic advisor, the CNBC commentator. His name escapes me now, but
Stockman.
Stockman was the first one, yeah.
And he's still around, and he still writes. And when he writes, he writes. I mean, he goes into that 5,000 word realm, and he is, I think people should read him. He's great. Okay, he's very much in line of what we're thinking here. But
Larry Kudlow was the one who came after Stockman. Yeah.
Larry Kudlow, I don't know what to think of him. He's too much of a libertarian.
Yeah, yeah, no, I'm no fan of him, but he was the one who succeeded Stockdale.
But I have to admit, he's a real showman. I'm never really, he's a unique character, okay? And he has his own show now on Fox.
Yeah, it's Fox. Yeah, they used to be on CNBC. He's on Fox. Yeah, no, I mean, he's a one-track mind or one-trick pony. That, tax cuts. I mean, that's all. Tax cuts, solution to every problem. Tax cuts, deregulation, tax cut. You don't have to watch his TV show. First half tax cut, second half tax deregulation, and that's it. Can I have my $1 million, please?
It's like tapping him on the shoulder and he turns to you, tax cut.
Tax cut, exactly.
All right, I think that does it.
Yeah, no more. All right, then. Well, that's the thumbs up and thumbs down for this week. We will, of course, be back next week with our thumbs ups and thumbs down. And so today, big day, we have Donald Trump's first public appearance since the impeachment.
We'll cover it tomorrow.
Yep, exactly. And yeah, we will definitely do that. And remember, we are now on Rumble. Please look us up on Rumble. And if you like the gaggle, please like, share, and subscribe. See you soon.